Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue unpacking the last new character for this week under the same roof, so to speak. I mean, it's not exactly the roof. We have met this me character 5 times now, and it's simply a big arch. We can regard that as a net or a cage, some confinement. And it's not human shelter with a chimney on the top. So the meaning switched just by missing that one dot. And this one is called rǒng, pronounced as rǒng. And well, out of this many meanings, I picked one that's most, I guess, relatable in today's age. I'll tell you in a bit. This one in the middle, you can see, it's almost nested image. I just realized it's like a nested image of both the ancient version. Okay, this is Xushen's dictionary. So it was 2,000 years ago. Some compiler, their pet project, spent a lifetime compiling the characters back then. So it was seal language. So it was reading a little bit different. And you can see both of them got the knob on the top. So both got chimneys, actually. Somehow, over the history, those dots get lost. And we get a flat roof or a cover. And then we have this ji, which in Chinese, contemporary Chinese, if we remove the top portion, the bottom, simply a variable, means however many. Ji is kind of a mathematical term of x, like undefined numbers there. Most like an integer because, yeah, I guess Chinese back then probably didn't define a pretty complex number yet. But here is like countables, like however many. Then if we look at this 2,000 years dictionary, it got a little bit more complexity. First off, it's not exact nested. If we look at it like a door frame with some, I don't know, the exit thing on top of the door frame, the nested one is not exactly like through the corridor, some far away, another exit, because the door frame here is bent. So my earlier instant response to this was not valid. It was not the two same things, just one nested inside another. This one actually, according to scholars, is another way of writing a human figure. So as we remember, standard, or at least used to be the standard human character, 2,000 years ago's version would be the front is relatively straight. The back is curvy ears to show you the front and back simply by the line. Is it straight or curvious? Because in Chinese, we face the world toward the left. It's hard to imagine, right? Because English is default by rightward facing, because any number lines or charts always pointing the arrow bigger number or timeline later happening toward the right? That's like the quadrants or the coordinate system. I guess that's what framed the Western thinking. This coordinate system have the arrow pointing up to the right on the axis, toward the top on the y-axis. Chinese ancient version point toward the right, left. That if I haven't done so many, I wouldn't discover that. I checked with the AI. AI doesn't know. And it could be just my theory until I can test it somehow. Anyhow, here is another rendering of this leftward facing human figure, if you can see it somewhat. And then this extra dot probably describing above the torso, the neck, and super simplified or dismissed the head part, because head is probably difficult to write in such a simplification of the human concept. So what do you mean that you have this human figure under this roof? So in fact, when we trace back this character, it's Mian. It was the radical we talked about the week before that has the chimney on the top. So somehow the chimneys got lost. But if we look at 2,000 years ago, that means this human stayed in place in the shelter. Okay. And now it means useless. This was, I guess, let me try to make sense to you. Ancient times, agrarian society, majority of humans were farmers, right? They have to work in the farm field. And if anybody stay in the door frame or under the roof or in the shelter, shielded from the sun, they were not toiling, tilling, sweating under the sun, contributing to the harvesting coming up, right? Then that person would regard as useless. However, useless was kind of a simplified version of it because this 冗 in contemporary usage, we also translate, let me show you, 冗余. This 余 means extra. So useless paired with extra actually means extra. Together, 冗余 is a Chinese way to say redundancy. And sometimes redundancy is intentional. It's a built-in. It's like a safety valve. Because as an economic system, you cannot just, I guess, when I was working in the industry, in a manufacturing or global trade industry, this is just in time, JIT, was the thing before the global trade was interrupted, okay? So just in time, meaning you don't stock up, you don't have many extras and not being used, useless extras sitting around in your warehouse. You try to reduce that redundancy and have this just in time, super lean inventory and flow of your everything that's built into your product. And that's, okay, it's challenge. It's a challenging thing to do because once some external things happen, like a war, like right now happening, and then we don't have a redundancy. We don't have that. In normal time, we don't use. We just put it in a warehouse, carry it on our back. But in time of unexpected interruption, we don't have a cover. We don't have this inventory we can use, right? The stockpile, people say. So this useless actually describes, I guess, in ancient agrarian societies context, that we have extra labor. Some of them are sometimes spending their time indoor. They can rotate and cover whoever gets sick, get injured, couldn't do it that day, right? So you got this extra person or labor ready on the side. And they may be useless at the time being, but it was built-in safety feature. So that's the full context of what 冗 would mean in Chinese. It's not just simply useless. It's just not being activated, not being used at the moment. Okay. 冗员 simply means 员 means person. Oftentimes in the context of management, that 冗员 is somebody, some head count that are not being used. At least not being used in the full capacity. So they are the people. I guess every HR probably have such a list. I used to work as an executive assistant, so we do have kind of layoff kind of thing. And I mean, it was not a big company, but by working with the boss of the company, I learned that, okay, each individual, each employee and in that company was kind of calculated of a certain usefulness, let's say. So they have different scores. I mean, I'm the one helped calculating scores, labeling everybody. And if they want to let go of people, they're going to start from the bottom of the list, right? So 冗员 are those at the very bottom. Like unless there would be some peak production season that everybody have to like all hands on the deck situation, then you kind of exhaust your labor resources at a time. Other than that, if there are times that lots of people are being useless and cruising, those are the people on the bottom of the list, and they are get going in time of like tight cash flow time. Okay, so that's 冗员. 冗言, useless words. Okay, 冗言. I need to knock that into my brain because sometimes I overshare. I mean, I'm sharing here just so that people in my life don't have to hear me babbling. I have probably sometimes too many thoughts that I have an urge to share. Probably, okay. And this 冗言 was the expression to talk about people chat a lot, but the information density was not that. Like the nutrition density of what they are saying with their words was not that high. So lots of words, lots of yapping could be gone. Like the world would be a better place if you don't speak so much. Okay, so that's 冗言. Another way to regard that would be, people like to preach. It's a kind of some people's human nature. And for preachers out there, me included, sometimes they probably don't preach because it won't work. There was this natural barrier between you and whoever you want to preach to, that they won't take your words. Especially some lessons in life, they have to be lived and learned, cannot be taught and spoken to or preached to a good degree. So in that case, all that kind of advice, like a free offering, unsolicited, solicited advice, they are all in this 冗言 category. Okay, 冗语 explained, it's currently useless, but considered extra to build up a buffer between, urgent, like a deadly, especially in supply chain. You cannot have any missing part. The machine can only be turned on when all the parts are ready. I work in manufacturing in China. I mean, made in China, high peak time, I played in that fascinating era. And 冗语 was kind of, I regard that as a necessary evil almost, even if you probably don't want to. There will probably some calculation, right? I'm pretty sure there's optimization of what would be the ideal extra you hold. But 冗语 was talking about this redundancy. Okay, so to describe a sense of useless in our time of AI threatening to make every one of us useless, I tested it out, AI generated video actually with visualization, and people tell me, but rather hear me yapping. So here you go. This is my today's yelp. And useless, 冗. Thank you for your time. See you another day.